Hello everyone, this is Marshall Official, back at it again with another election map update, and I just want to say this right now, thank you guys so freaking much. That last video completely blew up way beyond what I thought it was going to. I said 50 likes, it got like 250 likes. Not only that, but that video and the other one I uploaded about Ukraine, we are now closing on 500 subscribers. We were at 280 before I made that video. We are now closing on 500. That is insane. And I have to thank you guys so much for that. And I want to say this right now, before we get into the map, a good friend of mine, his name is Jim4123. That is the name of his channel. Go watch his channel. Go subscribe to his channel. He just uploaded a video today. He mentioned me in the video actually. He mentioned me in his video. And his video, first of all, he makes very different content than I do. Just put that out there. He does. But his channel is a very fun channel. He makes hilarious videos. His newest video he made was everything graded by Candy Carrier Chaos. That's a glitch animation. It's on the glitch channel. And that video right now only has 41 views. So go give him some views right now. Go give some love to him. And you can probably tell just from the comments we are good friends when you go watch that video. But that's not story for another day. But now let's get into the map. Now I want to also shout out somebody else. Aaron Kreisman. Aaron Kreisman. I believe that's how you pronounce your name. Shout out to you. You pointed something else to me that is amazing, and that is this: the Atlas poll. I didn't know this was a thing. And thank you very much for pointing this out to me. So shout out to you. This is apparently, from what I've heard, the best poll internationally. They do things internationally. Not just they're not in the U.S. So they're not in any way conflicted by any biases in the U.S. for Kamala or Donald Trump. They're out of the U.S. They do this internationally. So these guys are awesome. Is basically what it comes down to. They are very accurate. They are amazing. They know they're not biased at all, and they got the good information on here. It's not just just look at all this. It's not just election stuff. They break it down. And just warning, this video might be a little bit longer than usual, but I'm gonna get through this as fast as I possibly can. But we got some big stuff to get through. Anyways, so starting off right now, we will then make a map based off this at the end. But let's just start off right now where we are right now. So first off, presidential approval. So let's start off now. Approval of President Joe Biden. Do you approve or disapprove of Joe Biden's performance as President of the United States? Most people, look at this, 55.5%, that's a majority of the country, say they disapprove of Joe Biden. They disapprove of his performance. 37.6% say they approve. The majority of people are against Joe Biden, and therefore that will spill over quite heavily to Kamala Harris. So this is good news for Donald Trump, and he's trying to connect her to Joe Biden. He's trying to say that everything Joe Biden has done is the same thing. It's just what she's gonna do. So if you don't like Joe Biden, you won't like her. Let's move on now. This is just another graph showing the exact same thing. Okay, I'm gonna break this down just for this first one, but I'm just gonna skip this over for the rest of them. This is basically breaking down by different groups, basically. So starting off with gender. So let's start over here with the gender. So men, 59.8% of men disapprove of Joe Biden. 51.7% disapprove of Joe Biden. For women. So those are your two genders, male and female. Again, this is how they approve and disapprove based off of gender. Over here with age, 18 to 29 year olds, 60% of them disapprove. 30 to 44, 59 disapprove. 45 to 64, 52, and you just go so on. Go down here to race. Surprisingly, more Asians disapprove of Joe Biden. He does have a lot of black vote. Hispanics, he has some. Actually, the majority of people don't like Joe Biden in the Hispanic group. There's a good number, and a lot of white people do not like Joe Biden. And there's other over here that also, it's not looking good. Joe Biden looks pretty bad on everywhere on this board, except for the Democrats right here for partisanship. And right here, he's approved by people who voted for him in 2020, and he's approved by people who say they're voting for Kamala Harris definitely in 2024. That's it. Even among the people income lower than 50K and above 100K, they all disapprove of him. So that's bad news for Kamala Harris. So let's move on now. How do you elevate Joe Biden's performance as president? And this is not good. A majority of people. Now this isn't like a lot. This is the majority of the country says that it's bad. It's not normal or a little bit bad. No, it's terrible. It's bad. It's bad and terrible. 25 said regular, and only 21 said it was good. That's bad for Joe Biden. And it's bad for Kamala. It just as much, or almost as much. again, another graph, and this is, again, they're breaking it down by all these groups: gender, age, education, and all that. We're gonna skip this now because it's gonna be pretty repetitive for one. It's gonna be very repetitive, so there's no need to look at this. You get the point. How would you qualify President Biden's handling of the following issues? And he has failed almost by a majority for all of these. Immigration is his worst. 54% said he did terrible. Not just bad. Look, bad is the orange is bad, but terrible is red. The majority said he did terrible. And then up here, conflict between Israel and Hamas. He did terrible. Taxes. A majority said it was bad and terrible. National debt. A majority said it was terrible. U.S. economy. The majority said it's bad and terrible. China. The majority said it's bad and terrible. You get the point. All this, it's a majority is just all across the board. There's only a few where he doesn't have a majority of people saying it's really bad. Like inequality, say it. Majority of people say it's not that bad, but all the terribles are higher than all of the excellence. There's not a single excellent that's higher than a terrible. That's really bad for Joe Biden. Image of politicians. So here's the first one that's going to have a positive look for Kamala Harris. Do you have a positive or negative image of the following political figures? Okay, so Barack Obama, he's at the top. You know, everybody still loves pretty much everyone still loves Barack Obama. They still love him a lot. 54% say they're positive for him. Michelle Obama, positive. Kamala Harris, 48, only 48. So 50% said no, but 48% said yes. But she's still in third place though. So a majority of people think she's negative. Or not a majority, but half think she's negative. 3% in between. 48% said that they have a positive look on her. Donald Trump comes next, second place behind her. Then it's Joe Biden, then Tim Walz, then JD Vance. So you can see JD Vance is below Tim Walz, and Donald Trump is below Kamala Harris. So she's a little bit ahead here. Image-wise, she looks a little bit better, and that's probably because of the debate. The debate probably had a lot to do with that. Again, more breaking it down by all these different groups. President election scenario. Okay, so here's we start getting into some directly election-related stuff. In a head-to-head race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, whom would you vote for? Majority of people said Donald Trump. So what this means is, if you're going into this race, if you're going to the polls, you're going to go vote, and you know it's very close, and you're not quite sure who exactly you want to vote for, and you're thinking, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, it's very close. It's very close. I want to help. I gotta help somebody win. It's very close. I don't know who's gonna win. So who am I gonna vote for? They lean towards Donald Trump. When they're struggling to make a decision, and it's a head-to-head race, it's really close. You gotta make a decision. You can help change this. You can help decide the winner. More people say they would, in a quick decision like that, they would pick Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is the favorite to win by a majority here. And that's the same thing. And then same thing here. Provided that these were the candidates, who would you vote for in the upcoming presidential election? Okay, so these are all your options right here. So, and again, the same thing. A majority of people are saying 50.9%. That's a majority. Majority of people said they are going to vote for Donald Trump. And remember, we saw Fox News just a few days ago when those two groups, the Teamsters and the other one, I can't remember, the Uncommitted, I think it was called, the Uncommitted and the Teamsters, both of them said, we're not going to support Kamala Harris. And then Fox News said that he was ahead nationally. And this kind of reflects that a little bit. It might be a little bit too much of a margin, but again, these guys Atlas is very trustworthy. Again, they're international, everything like that. But they're saying the majority of people have said they're going to vote for Donald Trump. Let's go down even further now. Between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, which candidate do you reject more? And it's like a reversal. Majority of people reject Kamala Harris. They don't like her. There's a lot of places in this country they just don't like her. So the majority of people as a whole, nationally, they say they will reject Kamala Harris. And let's go on to the next thing. Harris versus Trump on issues. So here, now this is important. Because this is what's going to decide the election. People are going to go, and they're going to say to themselves, wait a minute. These are the issues. What do I think? Who has proven themselves more? And there's only two things that people say Kamala Harris has proven herself better at. Environmental protection, obviously. She's against fracking. Like she wants to protect the environment, but she's radical about it. But environmental protection, yes, she's up on that. And abortion rights, reproductive rights. So she's up on that. Makes sense. That's very much so understandable. But education, Trump leads by a majority, or yeah, by a majority. Healthcare, he leads by a majority. Reducing poverty and inequality, he leads by a majority. Uh, Safeguarding democracy, not a majority, but he's ahead of Kamala Harris. Combating corruption, majority, and it gets higher as you go down. All the way down here, the Israel-Hamas conflict, everybody's trusting Donald Trump way more on that. Same thing with immigration, they trust him way more. National debt, way more. China-U.S. competition, way more. And inflation, that's a big thing he's talking about. The economy and inflation, he's winning on that significantly. So it's when it comes down to the problems that need to be dealt with this country, who's better at doing them, Trump's ahead with almost everything, except for abortion and environmental protection. Everything else, Trump's leading in. And people are going to think about this when they go to vote. How do you plan to vote in the 2024 presidential election? So this is asking what is the way you're going to vote. So only 20.1% said mail-in ballot or absentee ballot. In person said early voting. So in person early voting. So you're going to vote in person, but not on election day. You're going to vote a little bit earlier. In person on election day. 44% of the country is going to vote on election day. If you remember, in 2020, because of COVID, there were a lot of people voting by mail-in ballots. They voted by mail-in because of COVID. But now the majority of people, not the majority, but almost the majority of people are going to vote on election day in person. And we know that those votes tend to swing towards Donald Trump. And there's also people who are going to vote in person, early voting. So you can probably split that in half. Half of those people will go Kamala, half of those people will go Donald Trump. He already wins the election if that's the case. Mail-in ballots are the only ones that tend to favor people that do mail-in ballots are the only ones that tend to favor people that are voting for Kamala Harris. These do favor Kamala Harris, but only 20% of the people are said they're going to do that. So that's again more bad news for Kamala Harris. It gets worse and worse. Key topics. Okay, this is again just the other one. This is very important. So this is just like the last one. But now let's talk about what's most important to you. Like, what do you think is the most important things that we have to worry about, top to bottom? And okay, let's get into it. Inflation is at the very top. We know Donald Trump was leading with this one. Economy, Donald Trump's leading. These are the first two. The majority of the people say this is what we need to focus on. And immigration is third place. That's surprising. Previous elections, it has not been as high. Now it is. So immigration is the third most biggest issue. We know that's a big thing Donald Trump is running on. The majority, and there's a big, and 50.3% said we gotta focus on that. Challenges, and again, look at this drop, 50% down to 27%. So the next thing on the list is reproductive rights, which does favor Kamala Harris. But look at this drop, 50 down to 27. So even though this clearly favors her, it's not gonna matter. Because with that drop, safeguarding democracy, we know Kamala is a little bit up on that one, and so is Joe Biden. But again, 20% healthcare, Trump leads, and pretty much all the rest of these. Poverty, Trump leads. Climate, well, Kamala Harris leads, but that's way down here. That's only 9.5%. Crime, and all the rest of these go to Donald Trump. So added up, he's way ahead with all this stuff. Let's move on now. Again, more demographics, if you will. You can all see it right down here. How much trust do you have in the following institutions? The FBI, okay, and then again, it's not looking good. Almost the majority, 49% said that they have little to no trust in the FBI. That's a bad look for the current administration. U.S. Supreme Court, again, and this is a majority. Majority of the people said they don't trust the Supreme Court. That kind of reflects on Donald Trump because he's the one to put those three guys in there. That does kind of reflect on the Donald Trump. It's not a very good look for him. Either way, it's bad in general because it will kind of hurt one than the other. It's hard to really tell because the current administration that's in there right now might take some of the blame, but they'll also put on the Donald Trump because of those three justices. So probably will hurt Donald Trump this one. The CIA, not a majority, but more people than not say that they don't like the CIA. This one will affect the current administration negatively, and that means Kamala Harris. U.S. Secret Services, a little bit closer on this one, but almost a majority people said they don't trust it or have no trust in it. And Secret Services, that definitely is going to reflect on the current administration clearly. Why? because what Donald Trump was almost killed twice now. Twice he was almost shot, and the Secret Services have looked pretty stupid. And Donald Trump is kind of running off of that, and in a way he's kind of running off. He said thank you the first time. The second time he's like, hey, you trying to get me killed here? Like the first time he was shot, he said, hey, thank you guys for rushing up there and giving me a hand. The second time he was like, hey, what the heck? So Secret Services, this is definitely not fair to Donald Trump. U.S. Congress, there's a lot of people that say that they have some trust, but again, a majority said they have little to no trust. So this is more and more stuff. It continues to help Donald Trump. This is why Donald Trump, when it comes time to vote, a lot of people are going to stop and think to themselves, wait a minute, let's think about this. Policy position. Do you support or oppose each of the following policies? A lot of these policies will support Donald Trump. Let me just say right now. But building the wall in Mexico, majority said they support it. That's Donald Trump. He's going to do that. Trade barriers. That's Donald Trump. The majority of people said they agree with it. Legal marijuana. This one the majority of people did say they support this, and this probably will favor Kamala Harris. This one will favor Kamala Harris right here. Reinstatement of Roe v. Wade ruling mandating abortion rights. This is a big thing that Kamala Harris is running on. She says, I'm going to reinstate Roe v. Wade. And although more people than not said they support that, more people say they support that than not, by 1%, it's not a majority. That's actually quite surprising. The majority of the people don't support this. Although the more people do support it than not, there's a big gap here in the middle. So this might go one way or the other. It could go this way. If it does, then yes, the majority of people. But the other people that actually say yes, it's not a majority. Tax hikes on high income earners. It's 50-50, or 50% said they supported that. They support that. So that probably will help Kamala Harris a little bit. That probably will help her a little bit. Donald Trump obviously is not really talking about that. He is a little bit, maybe not, but not much. Kamala Harris said, I'm going to put a tax on the rich. I'm going to do that. That's what she's talking about. Immunity from criminal prosecution for Donald Trump. Look at this. 50% said no. They said 50% said no to that one. So that one's a bad one for Donald Trump. So the majority of people are saying, he does not have immunity. He cannot be immune from criminal prosecution. Strikes on Houthi rebels. Got a big gap here. This is not a majority, but the majority of people, not a majority, more people than not said yes to that. Striking the Houthis. But there's also a lot of people, there's also a big gap here in the middle. This could go either way. U.S. financial support for Israel. It's pretty evenly split, but again, more people than not said yes. Citizenship pathway for undocumented immigrants. This one we got a majority. Majority people, well, almost a majority of people, 50-50, or more people than not. If you bring this up and it swings this way, then yes. Well, I'll say a majority of people said no. If you're undocumented immigrants, you're illegal. You're not a citizen. You can't be here. The people that will help Donald Trump. Military funding for Ukraine. It's again basically even here for the most part. But it's actually almost perfectly even, actually. And there's got this gap split here in the middle that could go either way. So it's kind of even. It's pretty even. Some people, about the same amount of people say yes and no to this. Rescinding Obamacare. Look at this. Majority of people say stop Obamacare. Undo Obamacare. And Donald Trump is running on that. He is running on, I'm going to replace Obamacare with something better. This is a big help for Donald Trump, this one right there. That's a big help for him. Military actions against China in the event of an invasion of Taiwan. Big gap here in the middle. This one's very undecided. Although a slight more people said yes than no. But big gap, can't really say anything about that one. Alright, let's move on now. In your opinion, was the January 6, 2021 invasion of the U.S. Capitol justified or unjustified? Long story short, the majority of people said it was unjustified. So clearly, this one is not supporting Donald Trump, although he has done his best to separate himself completely from what happened on January 6th. He's explained it away with, I didn't do it and all that. So, will this directly hurt Donald Trump? A little bit. Not majorly, but it will a little bit. Alright, fairness of judicial proceedings against Trump. And this will help Donald Trump. This is big. The majority of people, in your opinion, are the current judicial proceedings against Donald Trump motivated mainly by political persecution or genuine interest in applying the law? The majority of people, well, not the majority, but more people than not said this is a political persecution. This is political. This is all the reason why they're trying to put Trump in jail is for political reasons only. So more people than not say that it's political. So that's a big help for Donald Trump. At one point, see, it was actually the majority of people said that back in June, right here. You can see that. Let's move on now. Opinion on Trump candidacy. In your opinion, should Donald Trump be disqualified from running for office due to the January 6th invasion of the Capitol? And the majority of people said no. The majority of people said he should not be disqualified. However, 47% is a pretty surprisingly high number of people that said yes, he should be disqualified. That's pretty shocking. That many people said he should not even be allowed to be on the ballot. He should not even be allowed to run for president. That's a shockingly high amount. Nevertheless, majority of people still said no, he should be allowed. He should not be disqualified. Let's move on. In your opinion, who is the main culprit for the current armed conflict between Russia and Ukraine? I obviously am covering that wars is. By the way, I just want to say that now, the little bit of a delay on the newest update for the Russia-Ukraine war. I'll get that out tomorrow at some point, maybe later in the day. Just a little bit of a fell behind on that one a little bit. So, but I'll get it out tomorrow, and then I'll get the other one working as well. So don't worry about that. It'll be out soon. And this is not a surprise. Majority of people said, big majority of people said that Russia is the culprit for the Russo-Ukrainian war. Not a surprise. Only 6.7% said it was Ukraine. Even if we look down here, Republicans all said that it was caused by Russia. So that's not even a surprise. In your opinion, who is the main culprit for the current armed conflict between Israel and Hamas? 59% said it is Hamas, not in Israel. 14%. Again, not very surprising. It was Hamas that started that war. Social polarization in the United States. We're getting towards the end here. A few more things to go, though. Would you say there is a significant polarization and social conflict in the United States between the following groups? Long story short, all of these groups say very strong conflict. So a lot of people right now are saying that there's strong polarization and there's a strong conflict. The majority of people, pretty much all down the board. Taking that into consideration, if you take that into consideration, that will hurt the current administration. The current administration will say this is kind of their fault. They will be the one to take the blunt of the blame for this, basically. So a lot of people are going to say we'll put this blame onto the current administration. Economy. So this is where the election will be decided. This is the big one right here. And the very first one is what I think will decide this election. How do you evaluate the U.S. economy and job market right now? How do you evaluate your family's economic situation? So under the administration, under Kamala Harris's and Joe Biden's administration, job market, the majority of people said it's bad. The United States economy, big majority of people said the economy right now is bad. And family situation, almost the majority of people, more people than not said, way more people than not said that my family right now is bad. And this is where I think this election will be decided. Donald Trump is running off. This is where Donald Trump made a very smart move. He's using Reagan's famous line of, "You're gonna go to the polls. I want you to ask yourself a question: are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?" That famous quote from Ronald Reagan, President Reagan. Donald Trump is using that in his election campaign. It's in his ads. You can see it on YouTube. It's in his ads. This is where he pulled a very smart move by using Ronald Reagan, because he wants people to do the exact thing. He wants people to go when they go to the polls before they cast their ballot. He wants them to stop and think, hey, is it easier for me to get a job? Is it easier for me to go to the store and buy groceries? Is America, as Ronald Reagan said, is America as respected in the world as it was before? And so, is my family situation, is my family doing better now under this administration? The majority of people are going to say no. Is the United States economy doing good? Majority of people are going to say, they're going to think about that and say, hey, wait a minute. The economy's bad. The market is bad. Inflation is bad. Immigration is bad. My family is not doing good. My family is bad. I don't think I should continue this administration. I'm going to vote for something else. That is what's going to happen. This is why I think that this is where the election will be decided right here. And that is why bringing Ronald Reagan in and that famous quote from him has absolutely just has gotten into the people's minds now to just blow this up. What you're seeing right here on screen, it has blown this up right here. A few more things though. What is your expectation regarding the U.S. economy and job market in 6 months from now? They're already saying that, give it another 6 months, if Donald Trump wins, it will be better. Things will get better. This is where I'm saying this right here is where the election is going to be decided. Right here. Okay, so views on economic policy. So, how much do you agree or disagree with the following sentences and economic policy on a 1 to 5 scale? It's better for government to cut spending than increase taxes. We don't want to increase taxes. Donald Trump, both candidates are talking about tax cuts. So this will probably support either one. It could really support Trump or Kamala, not really sure. But the majority of people said they do agree with this. The state should respect a spending ceiling in order to avoid increasing national debt, even if that means less social assistance. Shockingly, a near majority of people agree with that. And that will help Donald Trump. That will, because Donald Trump is less focused on social assistance. This is going to help him a lot. Especially if you cut this 28 in half, and then it's a clear majority. If you cut that 28 in half, 14 goes to him, 14 goes this way, it's a majority. The state should not interfere in the market to protect companies or economic sectors. 45% said yes. So they're saying, Kamala Harris and all your socialist stuff, we don't want that. The majority of people are saying, we want the government to be less involved. The state should not regulate the prices of goods and services. Again, majority of people are saying they agree with that. The state should not be regulating that. And this is the only one where the majority of people disagree. Or more people than not disagree. The state should not manage any commercial business and all public companies should be privatized. So that's kind of the opposite. It's kind of saying, should we get rid of all of our socialist policies, all of our socialist laws, and become a 100% capitalist country? Laissez-faire, as you've probably heard of. The majority of people, or more people than not, are saying, no, we don't want that. A big thing that Donald Trump is running off of is he's running off what he's calling, I want to bring back the American dream. And what that is, if you don't know, it's the idea that in America you can be successful as long as you work hard and try hard enough. In other words, if you're gonna lay around and be a lazy bum, you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail in life. You're gonna have a hard life. It's not gonna be good. If you try hard, you work hard, you're gonna be successful in life. That's the American dream. It's the idea that you can make good for yourself. In a communist society, you can sit around and do nothing and get paid the same amount as a guy who's a major surgeon doctor. That's what happens. That's what happens with communism. So this will definitely not. This will actually. This will. The one up here will probably help Donald Trump a lot. That whole American dream thing will help Donald Trump a lot because we already know the majority of people don't support Kamala Harris's socialist policies, and she is pushing a lot of socialist or even communist policies. So but it clearly shows that we don't necessarily want a full capitalist country. We do want to have some regulations and some laws. We do want to have necessary socialist policies for safety and economic reasons that do actually help. We don't want to become a socialist country though. So that's what that's all about. And that's the last thing. So the rest of it is just about this. It's just about Atlas itself. So that is your whole thing. That is all the information from Atlas. You put all that information together. All that information. Who do you think is the favorite to win? And I think it'd be fair if you ask yourself those same questions. It's a very fair question. When you look at this, who would you vote for? Thinking about this, when you know that the majority of people are right now, you think people are thinking like this, thinking the jobs are bad, my family's not doing good, the economy is bad, inflation is bad, immigration is bad, and all that. Who do you think is the favorite to win at this point when you look at this? So let's go to the map now. I'm going to give you guys a quick prediction of how I think this election is going to go, and where I think this is going to take hold, and how I think it's going to change this election. So let's go do that right now. And actually, while we're at it, we got major news. And it's probably not going to... It's probably not going to happen, but there's a little side note here. The state of New York, Sienna recently, I found this out on Election Time. If you guys know who Election Time is, he's another guy who does the same thing. He does an amazing job. He, in his video, mentioned how a poll conducted by Sienna said that Kamala was up by just 12% in New York. But they had polled mostly Democrats. In New York, it's not 50-50, but there's a lot of Republicans in New York, surprisingly. It's pretty close. It's not 50-50, but it's not far off either. So they polled a lot of Democrats. If you adjust that so that it's even with the Democrats and the Republicans, if you adjust that, according to that poll, then New York, she's only is only up for Kamala Harris by 1% or even a tie. That if that's the case, then Donald Trump could have a chance of winning New York. Now listen, let's just pause for a second here. Is that gonna happen? No, that's not gonna happen. Not now. But give another 8 years, New York could become a battleground state. No, give it another 8 years. But if let's just go ahead and fill in the states now that we know will be going to who. So after all the information that we've seen, I'm not gonna bother doing the different colors right now. Let's just go through this right now, really quickly. You're left with these states right here. Let's talk about this. We talk about how Virginia got a lot more competitive recently. According to the newest polls, it's a deadlock tie in Virginia, which means that Donald Trump is catching up in Virginia. He can win that state. Let's talk. That's before I give my actual true prediction. Let's just talk hypothetically. If Donald Trump was to win New York and Virginia, 2 states that he probably shouldn't win, but because it seems so ridiculous, but there's a chance. So if he somehow in this election, I'm gonna watch it. And if he wins New York, I'm gonna eat my own foot. Let's just put it that way. But that will be the end of the election. Kamala Harris would have to win every single one of these states that still come out on top, and she's just not going to. We know Donald Trump is going to win Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina easily. That will win given the election. She might win these states, possibly, but even then, I'm gonna have to give these states to Donald Trump. So let's go back and let's fix this map a little bit so that it's not breaking my mind. Let's move this around a little bit. I predict that at the end of the day, Donald Trump is going to win the states of Georgia and Arizona. At least. Because after what we just saw, after all that stuff you just saw, and think about that, and you want to know where all this information is going to affect this election the most, it's going to be in these 3 states right here. These 3 states will definitely be feeling what all this Atlas poll stuff was talking about. So I predict that at the end of the day, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania will be going to Donald Trump. Nevada, I don't really know. Could go either way. He did not win it the last few elections, but I'm just going to give it to Kamala Harris just for the heck of it. He did not win it in 2016 or 2020. He has a chance of winning it now. Maybe. But I'm going to give it to Kamala Harris just for now. And Virginia, I don't know what to give it to, who to give Virginia, really. Because according to the newest polls, it's a tie. Donald Trump's already winning at this point, so I'm just going to give it to Kamala Harris just for why not. So at the end of the day, I predict this will most likely be the outcome of your election. When we consider what the Atlas poll has taught me, this is new to me as well, and it's taught all of us. So we've now seen this. I think it's pretty clear that Donald Trump's chances of winning this election are high. They're up there, and I think he's gonna pull it off. So thank you guys for watching this. That's gonna be all for today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.